Good morning, Abundant Life Church. This is Pastor Chris, and today we're going to look at John chapter 12, verses 12 down through 19. Now, when I was an associate pastor, I always had to preach the terrible Sundays. Now you think, well, what's a terrible Sunday? Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, any Sunday in the month of August, the Sunday after Christmas. What do all those Sundays have in common? No one's there. Everyone's gone. They're on vacation. School's out. It's a terrible Sunday. And the senior pastor would always dump those Sundays on me. I never got to preach the premium Sundays. Obviously, Easter Sunday, but also Sundays like right before Thanksgiving. That was a good one. The Sunday before Christmas. I never got to preach about Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter. So when I became a senior pastor, I thought, oh, this is so cool. I finally get to preach on things like Christmas. And I was excited. But I realize now, let me see if I can do the math here real quick. I'm coming up on 34 years of preaching. That's a lot of Christmases. That's a lot of Thanksgivings. And I've kind of run out of things to say about those holidays. Well, another one is Palm Sunday. Every year, Palm Sunday comes around. It's like, okay, you got to come up with something new for Palm. I'm still in favor of it, but I'm not sure what to say. And yet, this passage here, going through and studying the passage, I found something I had never noticed before. I found something new. In this passage, Jesus rides into Jerusalem in triumph. He rides in as a king, and all the people hail him as a king. Part of it is because he was purposely sending them a message. Yes, I am indeed your king. It's a glorious moment. But here's what I discovered. There's a verse here that says the disciples didn't understand. All right? So here's my question. What aren't you getting? For 3 years, they've wanted him to be the king. This moment when he rides into Jerusalem as the king, excuse me, this is what they've hoped for. This is what they were expecting. And now Jesus comes in and we're not sure what all is going on. Why didn't the disciples understand this? Jesus is finally their king. How did they not get this? By the way, you're going to see here, everybody else except the disciples got this and understood exactly what it meant. The people got it. Look at verses 12 and 13. The next day, the great crowd that had come for the festival heard that Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem. They took palm branches and went out to meet him, shouting, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the King of Israel. The people get this. They understand exactly what this big entrance meant. There would have been about 1 million people there in the city for Passover. And word is going to spread about Jesus. And the latest news was he had raised this man Lazarus from the dead. Lazarus had been dead for 4 days, and Jesus brought him back to life. Jesus is a big topic. He is very hot right now. Nobody is neutral about him. Everyone has an opinion about Jesus. They're either 100% against him, 100% for him. The religious leaders had it out for him. They're 100% against him. They're not neutral on this guy. So when word gets out that Jesus, who had been laying low because of the Pharisees and the danger these religious leaders posed, when word got out that Jesus was going to be at the festival, everybody is excited. Their expectations of him are sky high. I'm going to skip down a few verses and look at verses 17 and 18, then we'll go back. Now the crowd that was with him when he called Lazarus from the tomb and raised him from the dead continued to spread the word. Many people, because they had heard that he had performed the sign, went out to meet him. Like I said, their expectations of Jesus are through the roof right now. If he can raise a guy from the dead who's been dead for 4 days, this is got to be the guy who's going to drive out the Romans. This has to be the guy who's going to restore Israel to power, the kind of power that we had under King David. They're excited that he's here. What better time to take the throne? This guy. This is who they want to be their king. So the people get it. You know who else got it? Jesus got it. Let's go back and look at those verses that we skipped, verses 14 and 15. Jesus found a young donkey and sat on it, as it is written, "Do not be afraid, daughter Zion. See, your king is coming, seated on a donkey's colt." He had made all these previous arrangements to ride this donkey. He told the disciples, "Hey, listen, go find a guy who's going to be carrying a pitcher of water." Unusual in that culture for a man to carry water. That was something women did. But that was the prearranged sign. Jesus had already rented this donkey, already made the arrangements. Hey, carry around a water pitcher. That'll be a clue for my disciples. You're the guy. All right. But here's the point of all this. Jesus purposely went out and got a donkey because he knew what it meant to ride a donkey into town. Donkeys were not lowly animals. They were symbolic of something. If a king rode into town on a horse, he was sending a sign, and that signal was, "I'm here to conquer this place." But if he came in on a donkey, he was also sending a sign, and that sign was, "I am coming in peace." And this prophecy that John is quoting comes out of Zechariah. Zechariah prophesies about the king coming like this, riding on a donkey. Jesus was sending a clear signal. I am the fulfillment of that prophecy. I'm the king coming in peace that you have been waiting for. Everybody got this. Everybody understood it. If you want to have some fun, if you're a college basketball fan, or even if you're not, just Google this, sweater game. If you Google sweater game and go to images, I guarantee you're going to get an image of two coaches wearing an identical sweater, and this is the ugliest sweater you have ever seen. See, this all took place in the 1980s. Two of the college basketball powerhouses of that time in the Big East were St. John's in New York City and Georgetown in Washington, D.C. Big-time rivals, played in the same conference. St. John's was coached by a guy named Lou Carnesecca, and Lou Carnesecca wore the same sweater because his team got on a hot streak. He wore this sweater for one game. They won, and so he wore it again. They won again. He kept wearing this sweater. It was a hideous sweater, but he wore it every game because, hey, it brings us luck. Well, they have this big game coming up with Georgetown. Patrick Ewing was playing for that team, if you know basketball. And before the game started, here comes Coach John Thompson for Georgetown. He's got a coat on. He opens it up. He was wearing the exact same sweater. Exact same sweater. And everybody laughed. Even Lou Carnesecca got a good chuckle out of it. But it was a message. It was a message. It was psychological. I got in your head, didn't I? You're wondering if that sweater is going to bring you luck, because I got the same one on right now. And Georgetown won. Seeing that sweater, all the diehard fans knew that's a message. A clear, unmistakable message. Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. That is a message clear as day. The people got it. You know who else got it? Even the Pharisees. The Pharisees who hated Jesus, who opposed Jesus. They got this message. It doesn't mean they believed him, but they understood the message that Jesus was sending by riding in on a donkey. Verse 19, the Pharisees said to one another, "See, this is getting us nowhere. Look how the whole world has gone after him." They knew they're in trouble. They're already frustrated with him. They were already planning to kill him because he was becoming more popular than they were. They were going to kill Lazarus too because, they're Pharisees. Now it's getting worse. Passover is the biggest deal of the whole year, and there's Jesus dominating the conversation on Passover with the way that he entered the city. He's being hailed by a king, by the people who are supposed to be listening to the Pharisees. Pharisees had no confusion about the message Jesus was sending. Everyone could see it. The only people that we're going to see who couldn't understand this message was the disciples. How was it that they weren't able to get it? You obviously know. We'll talk about that next time. Till then, have a great day.